So yesterday I got stuck on the M4 on my way to the application for my visa, and I had a very specific appointment time. I was all set. I left home early thinking I will cruise all the way and I will arrive in good time. No stress, no drama. Got on the M4, heavy traffic. Charmaine had stopped by and said, don't take the N2 because there's been an accident. There are two big trucks. Traffic is backed up. So I avoided the N2, first piece of Save My Life, and wound up on the M4. Get around a big truck, take the M4 fast lane, and the car starts to slow down until it absolutely dives. And of course, with hindsight, I'm thinking, there's my comet. It was coming straight at me and I didn't even realize, because what had happened was there's a pipe under the hood, which most people do not see on a regular basis, that had actually worn down and the car had lost all of its, great irony, Lou packed up laughing when I told him, all of its water. My car ran absolutely dry. It was in a drought of its own. So having run out of water, the car no longer had any life whatsoever. Snapped on the hazards, slowed down, couldn't use my brakes, it had lost all sorts of power, and my whole body started to vibrate like it was, you know that feeling where you're going to get out of your body and then you actually can't, where it's vibrating like you're going to shift but you're still stuck with the awareness that something that is out of your control, beyond your management, is happening. You cannot stop it. It's like standing in front of an arrow and seeing it make a beeline for you, and you know that whatever happens next, it's happening. Regardless of what you do, it's happening. Even regardless of what you think. So of course my first go-to is angels. Please can you make sure that big truck behind me doesn't hit me? And of course it didn't. It served as a wonderful buffer between me and all of the other traffic, and nobody bumped into me. Nobody hooted, grabbed my phone, called Lou, because this was my first thought after Angels. Call Lou. He will know what to do. And thank God Lou answered. First call, Lou's mechanic was available. He dashed off to Pinetown, got his mechanic, came down onto the M4 and towed my car off it. And cheeky bugger that I am, as he's towing my car off the M4, I'm saying, drop me off on Amschlanger Ridge and I'll walk to my visa appointment and get it done anyway.
You forgot about the policeman.
Yes, I'm getting to this. While I'm talking to Lou, and I looked at my phone today, inside of the 1 minute and 37 seconds that it took for me to bring my car to a standstill and talk to Lou and tell him what had happened, two South African police services, policemen stopped. They brought traffic to a standstill. They pushed my car off the extreme right lane into the verge on the other side of the left lane and kept the traffic free flowing, and then proceeded to stay with me until Lou arrived, cleared the traffic for us again so that we could leave. And it so happens that they were out of their jurisdiction. They're from Stanger. They had come to Durban to do some paperwork and arrange a funeral in Mapumulo, and they were just on their way home. So that was just completely amazing synchronicity that they actually stopped, that they didn't just pass me by, because this would have been a nightmare of note. In the midst of all of this, I called Damir, saying, Damir, I'm stuck on the middle of the road. See all my wonderful go-tos? And Damir says, okay, Guru, I'm in a meeting until 2:30, but if you finish that, if I can't come get you, I will send Uber. So I calmly handed that one over. I handed what's going to happen with the car over to Lou. I handed over the movement of the vehicle from one side to the other. And I sat there thinking, how amazingly blessed am I by what does happen and how it happens and what doesn't happen. I mean, really, what doesn't happen? Because when we count our blessings, we tend to count our blessings around what we do have or what we do see, what is tangible. Nobody starts counting their blessings by saying, thank God that didn't happen. Thank God that truck didn't go bang smack into me and rear end me into the next car and the next car and the next car, because the traffic was crazy. Thank God the truck was actually behind me and had the presence of mind to stop and bring the traffic behind me to a standstill. I mean, he was so close to me that I could not see the driver in my rear view mirror. That's how close he was. All of this happened in 1.5 hours. Do you realize that? It took 1.5 hours for all of this to get sorted, which is the equivalent of a session in this center. For me to spend 1.5 hours sorting something out is just amazing for me. It's such a miracle, because this is me stuck on the M4. It never occurred to me to call the police, and there they were. And not Metro police, who are normally just terrible experiences for me and very stressful. Like friendly police, people I felt safe with, who didn't quietly ask me for a bribe or a special thank you or anything like that. You know, police who were happy to go and find water for the car and actually checked the car to see if they could get it started. It was that kind of afternoon. And of course the people at Capego kept my booking open, saw me as soon as I went in. Charmaine finished work in perfect time and came and picked me up. In the midst of all of this, I became so aware of what didn't happen. I was so thankful that all of those people didn't hoot and swear at me as they went by, because, you know, I would have been livid, absolutely livid, if people had done that to me. In addition to that, I was perfectly contained inside my car and I didn't even have to run across that road. Anything that could have been overly stressful or damaging to my physical or emotional or mental well-being was kept at bay. And I felt especially blessed that my phone has people on it, firstly, that I can call, because I have to tell you, I went through my alphabetical contacts list thinking, which of these people lives in Amshlanga, after I'd called Lou. And I went through a lot of people and thought, don't want to call any, instinctive cringe. So having people that I can call, that I can feel safe calling. Not people who owe me something, but people with whom I feel safe. People whom you know, if they have a missed call from you, firstly will know that it's you and call you back. How often do we have missed calls that we just don't bother to call back, right? And yet I know that those people, if they have a missed call from me, they'll call me back. And that's exactly what happened, right? You had a missed call, Charmaine had a missed call, Lou was like on the ball, he just answered his phone. And I didn't even say, Angels, make sure Lou's there. He was there. It's so amazing for me how something that could have taken all afternoon actually took 1.5 hours. At that time, it felt like longer. Admittedly, when I was counting all the cars going by and got up to 24 number plates that had 444 on it going by, I thought, okay, this is taking a while. Today, I saw a couple and we saw, 5 4s on a number plate? Yeah, but not as many as yesterday. In addition to all of this, standing on the side of the road, I realized that there must have been at least 30 or 40 people who drove past me, and had they stopped to look, would have known me. This is Amshlanga, you know, Charmaine's community. I've had dinner with these people. I've gone to parties in their neighborhood. I've gone to movies there. I shop at the Gateway complex. I've been to their temple. A lot of the people who live in that area are clients. So many people driving past, had they looked, would have recognized me. But as I was watching the traffic, I realized the traffic was looking for what happened, but they weren't looking at who it had happened to. They weren't seeing the people. In fact, you know, it was so quick in terms of the cops arriving, but the cars that were going past and were turning to look at the car to see what had happened, They weren't looking at me. They were just looking at what had happened. What's the drama? What's the story here? Not the people, not the person. And not one of those people driving by sent up a bubble of thought of, I wonder if they need help, or how can I help? Is there some, should I? Just even that split second thought of, should I stop? Should I check? Should I ask? I never saw that thought in the traffic. So I sat there, I was standing there on the side of the road with the cops on either side of me like two blue angels. And I thought, let me see if I can make eye contact. And I was looking at these people on my phone, looking at these people. Not one person, even the passengers, even attempted to make eye contact. So I asked the police officer, I said, why do you think we are living in a country where people are not helpful anymore? Had you not come, my car would still be in the middle of the right lane. I would be sitting in my car, calling a tow truck, calling the cops. If these two policemen had not arrived, there would have been complete chaos on the M4 yesterday, and I would have been using the F word on a regular basis for at least 3 or 4 hours, right? You all know me so well. I do not have to hide this, right? This is the reality of it. I would have told a good few drivers exactly which part of the M4 they could leap off, or which bridge to choose, which side to meet me on. But these two gentlemen arrived, and they were gentlemen. And he says to me, people in South Africa don't help other people because they don't know when it's safe to do so. And he started talking about a range of cases in which people had stopped to help others and were damaged, were victimized in the process. And then he said something even more interesting. Now, we all knew that, right? You are all aware of this. It's dangerous to stop to help people, even if it's broad daylight and she's looking innocent standing in the middle of two cops. But he then said something interesting. He said, the people in South Africa look at what color needs help. And it was so weird for me, because it's like, what color needs help? So if you're a black person, and he was very clear and confident about this. If you're a black person on the road in need of help, nobody wants to stop, not even black people. If you're a white person, they are more likely to stop and help you. Indian and colored, they'll think about it, but it can go either way, whether they'll stop or not. But people are more likely to stop for white people on the side of the road than they are black people on the side of the road. And his friend says, oh, but they are equally dangerous. Equally dangerous. Whichever way you look at it, stopping, being a good Samaritan, exercising your rescuer archetype in this country and numerous other countries is a dangerous thing to do. So the question arises, do you take the risk of being helpful, of being compassionate, and being kind for total strangers, or do you reserve that for the people you know? Does everybody, like me, have to have a telephone directory of people they can call for help, to come all the way from Kloof in Lou's case, to come and be rescuer, to be this, person who helps and takes care of things, because we as a nation cannot rely on each other where we are in that moment. Now, one of the things that was so clear was this just happened. It just happened. It couldn't possibly be staged. So all the people driving past me with the Metro police van right there could very easily have stopped safely. When the traffic slowed down, I could hear people's music and snatches of their conversation because it was so busy. Even then they could have said, hi, do you need anything? Shall we send something back for you? Nothing. They all looked straight ahead like there was nothing happening on the side of the road. But out the corner of their eye, they were looking at, so what happened? So what happened? Now, I don't particularly care about how the mass consciousness is working. But quite honestly, it was an awful feeling for me. What left me standing on the side of the road still was that I knew that I was loved enough that somebody was going to come around and pick me up off the side of the road and not leave me there standing. That I had people to call and I had people to rely on. Because in this country, you actually cannot rely on public services. Had I just called the cops, or what do you call those road jackals? Tow trucks. No, really, I could have been in the middle of a drama for the rest of the day. And been completely disempowered as a woman in this country under those circumstances. Please note, everybody, I called the men first. Complete awareness. Lord husband goes, go yang. You know, when things go wrong, go yang. Yeah, when you need to get creative about the solution, after you've called in yang, you go yin. But before that, we all need a source of strength to rely on. And the fact is that on the roads in this country, even in our various cities, neighbors, etc., we don't know that we have that. So you need to make sure for your peace of mind that you have that. Now, it was interesting, just the day before, I was having a session in which I was talking about how do we create peace of mind for ourselves by having this information easily accessible on our phones. Knowing who you can rely on. Knowing that somebody will know where you are. That if you call somebody and say, I have an emergency, that person isn't going to say, oh, what happened? Tell me the story before they get with the program that there's an emergency. You know, those sorts of people. Who do you have in the palm of your hand on your mobile that you know is going to find you where you are, isn't going to leave you hanging, is going to return your missed call, and if they can't help you, they're going to find somebody who can, which is what Demir was doing. Everybody has busy lives. But for me, it didn't matter whether Demir came or not. The fact that he returned my phone call and that he had a solution, that was reassuring. I mean, Lou and I were having a discussion about what should we do. Being able to talk to somebody about what should we do next, what are the possibilities, was reassuring. I wasn't standing on the side of the road feeling completely alone when the cops said, who's coming to get you? Now these are the things that actually give us peace of mind. I knew Charmaine was in court, so I left her a missed call on purpose. And then I put it on Facebook, help! And of course, Shahina and Anis immediately responded on Facebook. And not one person in Durban responded until later in the day. One of my clients said, why didn't you call me? I'm 5 minutes away. So I decided then and there that in the future, all of my clients who come in are going to tell me where they are physically located. I'm going to put that in my phone. So if I get stuck on any road in this country, I will be able to look on my phone area-wise and go, oh, you live 5 minutes away from where I am, I'm calling you. Because I actually do not know where my clients live. I do not pin them down in terms of physical data on a database. And for all of you, how many people have you got on your phones, on your database, and you have no idea where they are? That you haven't fleshed out the details about them. I mean, today is the first time I'm seeing Rama. And I've been talking to you for how long?
7, 8 months.
Yeah. This is the first time I'm seeing Rama in the physical, flesh and blood and bone, you know. But he was behind the taxi when he came out the airport and I saw that flash of light and I thought, oh, there's Rama. And then the physical body emerged. You see? How intimately do we know people without the physical? And the flip side of that is, how intimately do we know people physically without the rest of it? Now I know my life is generally topsy-turvy, so I tend to know everybody very intimately and not at all physically. This is not an invitation to get physically intimate with me. But I saw that thought coming.
Let's call you safe.
But maybe we need some balance in our lives in terms of knowing people better and knowing in your database, because this telephone in the palm of your hand, wherever you are, is a thread that connects you to everything. If I didn't have that phone in my hands, I'd be still on the M4. Seriously. Or I would have had to leave my car there and hitch my way someplace to find a telephone. And of course, when I returned, my car might not be there anymore. Right? Yes. I have counted my blessings in terms of everything that did happen to preempt all of the things that might otherwise have happened. I'm counting my blessing at the absence of things. I am even saying thank you, Fatima didn't catch up with this whole drama until this morning. Just thought I'd slide that one in quickly. Because it really, she would have lost sleep over it yesterday.
That's because she'd have missed the pictures.
So please take a note. Get a little bit organized. It's little things. I don't have an emergency number for police or ambulance or any of those things listed on my phone. I realized that yesterday. Do you? Do you have your local police station? Do you have your local trauma unit? Ambulance? Lou is nodding his head every step of the way. He is responsible.
Oh, yeah, too, 911. Yeah, but I've got clients who phone me for that stuff all the time.
Oh, okay. He has clients who call him for those numbers all the time. Okay. So you know how many people who don't have it? Okay. Do you have each other's physical addresses? Now, do you remember when Shahina had her burglary? And I knew her physical address. I didn't have to go and look it up somewhere. We didn't have to ask her for it. We knew it, we used it. I know where Charmaine lives. I know where Fatima, I know where you live. I know where Anise lives. I know where Damir lives. I even know where Maris lives. I have no idea where Rama and Marushan and Oliver live. I have no idea what your address is, Lou. See, so you didn't get postcards from France. I know Pascal's address in France, but I don't know local addresses. Now all of this says to me, there's something out of balance. And really, we must, and some of it is just as being a family, that we must know each other. I now know where Vinoshni lives. In Joburg. I have no idea where she lives in Durban. You know? This is the craziness of things. So let's catch up with each other. Let's put these details into our phones. We don't know when we'll need them. And you don't know when you're going to be traveling in some exotic part of the world and need to send me a postcard. At least have my postal address for that. And then, of course, you should have basic details about who to contact in case of. You should have a local plumber who provides emergency services, not your regular plumber, but an emergency plumber. Because one of the things we know for certain is that when something unexpected happens, we need to manage it and all of the people in those circumstances. Not knowing crucial information that sends you on a search through Google or through your old phone book, or where did I leave that number and why isn't it on the fridge anymore? You know that when you need something it disappears. Murphy's Law. Yes. That is very stressful. And under those circumstances, it doubles or trebles the stress. All of my stress disappeared in an instant. Lou in my ear over here, policeman at my car over there. I didn't have to get stressed out. My biggest thing was, oh, will I now have to walk to Capego? What did I say to you? I need a ride to Capego.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, thanks for letting me know where the hell is that.
Now do you know?
Yeah, I've got the address.
There you go. Sent you the address. I knew exactly where I was going. And if you know where you're going, you'll get there. I mean, I was very clear. I'm making that appointment. regardless of what happens next, I'm making that appointment. I even said to the cops, do you want to stay here with my car while I go with the other policeman to my appointment and come back? And he considered that for a moment, just for a moment. And then he said, no, we both have to stay here. And then, of course, the universe is providing. The unforeseen will happen. The unexpected must happen. All those cockroaches we were talking about in the Tuesday meditation, you know, the hidden irritations, the hidden unhygienic stuff that comes up inside of us and outside of us must happen. But when we're living from a space of having boundaries and having a context of ourselves and knowing that we have people around us that we can rely on, it gets easier to manage. And then there's that other thing about being able to say, I need help. I can't do this. I don't know what to do. I mean, that was the first thing I said to you, right? Hi, I have an emergency. I don't know what to do. And Lou didn't even skip a beat. He thought it was perfectly normal for me to not know what to do. Yeah. Well, you know, I said, can we do this? And then he was giving me why we can't do that. So every tangent I was going off, he was grounding it nicely and saying, no, not that, not that. And then he just solved it. You know, he figured it out. So being supported comes from firstly saying, I don't know what to do. Or the inner admittance that I require support and I'm happy to receive it. There is absolutely no shame in doing so. There is absolutely no reason why everybody on the planet shouldn't ask for help with the full expectation of receiving it. So do you ask for help? Just think for a moment. Do you?
Sometimes.
Occasionally.
If I absolutely have to.
If I absolutely have to. Okay. This is Lou, where you call him regularly, any problem, Lou is available. His clients call him regularly, any problem, Lou is available. But he asks for help only if he has to. Are you all getting this? What about you, Dami?
Really only when I have to.
Only when you have to. There you go. Marushan? Only when you have to. Okay. Rama? Preferably never. Yeah, see, Rama's energy is like closing down. Why am I talking to him? Don't I have better things to do? You know?
Don't look at me.
Eh?
Don't look at me, don't look at me.
Yes. Oh, look at this. If all of you could see this energy shifting in the room. What about you, Maris?
Sometimes, that's all.
Case by case basis. Okay, generally speaking, how are you about asking for help?
Not very good.
Not very good. Shaman?
No, I asked.
Now?
Not always.
Ha! When you came here 12 years ago, you were worse than all of them put together, man.
Yeah, I didn't know you so well then.
Oh.
Then.
When Charmaine first came here, she'd wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to get everything done before she left home. And we used to say, can you just like ease up a little? You do not have to be running on over-energized Duracell batteries. You know, she'll have lived 5 hours and Fatima and I are still waking up. We used to feel so lazy by comparison. And she didn't know how to ask for help. Now 12 years later, she's getting with that program. What about everybody here? Let me see. Yeah. You're all guilty of exactly the same thing. Only if I have to. Does an emergency qualify as you have to? Does getting stuck on the M4 qualify as you have to? Does throwing a braai in your backyard qualify as you have to? No? No? Okay, so only if I have to is that there must be some kind of emergency. I am absolutely stuck. It's a crisis, life or death. Something dramatic and drastic is when I have to. These are the criteria you have created for yourself in terms of learning how to receive support. Seriously? After everything you've learned, are these the criteria you have established for yourself as, I am learning how to receive support and best the universe to hammer me good and hard for me to get this lesson? Didn't see that one coming, did you?
If it's in context.
Say again?
If it's in context.
What context?
Well, I don't necessarily think that asking for help is always life or death situation.
Okay, but you just said only if I have to.
Yes, I mean, say I'm running late, right? And I've got some chores around the house. I'm going to go, hi Nabi, please can you switch my washing machine? Go to my place and switch my washing machine on. That to me is my own business.
Well, you know, considering that you live 2 minutes away, and if I had a house key, that would actually be perfectly fine. It would be okay for you to phone and say, Guru, I'm running so late, can I stop by your house for supper? What have you got?
No, that's...
Yeah, it would be okay to say, Guru, I'm stuck out of town, I'm in an airport in Johannesburg, I don't know if my lights are on, or, you know, I'm on my way to the airport, I don't know if I've left my iron on.
I would call, I mean, my parents have the key, so for something like that, yes, I mean, I agree with you.
Okay, so you've set up a system of support with your parents, which is exactly how Charmaine operates. It's like, those are people I know, and those are people who love me and actually have to be nice to me.
I have a friend of mine as well.
Yeah?
I've got 3 people that got keys to my house, so...
So you know how to live the single life. Okay. Marushan? Do you have a similar system? No? Lou, you have a similar system.
Yeah, the guys upstairs have my keys.
You have their keys.
And I have their keys, but I'm really very autonomous, you know. It always, nowadays I've become so self-reliant for just about everything that I almost feel out of place when I go to somebody's house or whatever and they're doing things for me and I think, I want to get on and do things myself, you know. It's just, I don't allow people to do things for me very easily anymore.
Is Rama nodding? You're still hiding there, Rama?
Rama wishes he was in East London.
Hiding.
Yeah. If you had asked my sister what my dress was, she doesn't know.
Is that deliberate?
No.
You deliberately keep your address to yourself so that nobody can visit you, or?
No, it's just the stubbornness of not wanting any help or total independence, all of it thrown into one big bag. Probably emanates from having been in boarding school for 11 years, so you don't depend on anybody,
Okay.
or system or anything.
No, but you see, now hold on a second. What you're describing for me, like boarding school life, is a defensive system. That's not independence. The defensive system that says, I don't want anything from anyone, I don't want anyone to do anything for me, I want to do it all myself. This is not independence. Because this kind of independence, as you call it, is actually a defense mechanism. It's a protective mechanism that is a system of barriers between you and the world. Not boundaries. Boundaries that allow people to flow through and to have a system of giving and receiving. Those allow you to interact freely while having self-management values and rules, if you will, in place. That's what boundaries are. Barriers just keep the world at bay. And that's self-protective mechanisms. That's defense mechanisms. And those defense mechanisms say, firstly, I can't trust others to support me. I don't know that they will when I need it. When I make those phone calls, I understand that the people I'm asking will if they can. They might not always be able to, but they will if they can. That they're those kinds of people. That's who they are. The generosity of spirit shines through. They're caring, they're rescuers. They even like me enough to do something about it. Well, okay, they love me enough to do something about it, so they will. This barrier system says, I don't trust that those people will drop everything and come to take care of me. Secondly, if I ask for help, if I let them help me, there will be a price to be paid for it. There's always a price to be paid. Good men finish last, right? Yeah, there's always a price to be paid for receiving help. People will think you are weak if you receive help. They will think that you are weak and they will take advantage. And then, of course, we had the whole meditation on indebtedness. If you ask for help, you then are obligated, indebted to doing for others and putting back, giving back. Do I owe you something for rescuing me off the M4?
Nothing at all.
Exactly. And yet, if somebody did something for you, like when you used my car, what did you do? Took it for a car wash, filled it with petrol, changed the windscreen wipers. I mean, you all but polished it to an nth degree of its life and returned it as a way of saying, thank you for letting me use the car. Huh? Putting back, overcompensating from indebtedness, allergic to receiving. So the question is, are you worthy of receiving in your own head? In your own head, not in anybody else's, but in your own head. Are you worthy of receiving? And does your receiving, in fact, create indebtedness in your own head again that then prevents you from receiving gracefully and graciously and gratefully? So these barriers that you've put in place keep you stuck in being a rescuer, because all of you do it. Every one of you is really good at rescuing. Every one of you is leaping to the fore in order to take care of others. Nobody in this group is exempt. And every one of you will shy away from receiving exactly that same rescuer treatment in return. Which says to me that every one of you has put yourselves in a position of power over others, like Superman when you are the hero doing the rescuing. And you lose your Superman hero status when you are the one in need of rescue. So you cannot admit to the world that you need rescuing. They'll take your cape away, they might take your smart suit away, and then you'll be naked in the universe in need. Who died and made you Superman? Clark Kent. Even Superman, fabulous chap that he was, used to save the universe on the one hand and then quietly get into his telephone booth and his suit and his thick glasses on the other. In the real world, Clark Kent used to be a clumsy oaf, bumping into things, tongue-tied when talking to the ladies, and completely sleek and sexy when flying through the universe, right? At the speed of light, I might add. So all of you can be Superman, and all of you have to be human at the same time. That's what made Superman so bloody special. That he had those superpowers and that he used it on behalf of humanity as a rescuer while living this limited frame life. And the fact that we have these limitations that go with being physical means that you must need help. And if you don't need it as you are and you insist that it must be something drastic, crisis-oriented, life or death, you are stuck and cannot do it all yourself event. Well, need I say more on that one? Because you know my mouth to God's ears. I'm going to be quiet now. Keep your Superman suits on under your other clothes, right? Your normal day wear. Yeah? When I call, when somebody else calls, you all get into Superman mode. The rest of the time, you go be Clark Kent. And you let, what's her name? Lois Lane?
Lois Lane, yeah.
Yeah? You let Lois Lane tell you how the world works. And set you straight. And edit yourself. And hunt Superman down. You got to get with this. The people who are not receiving, are strangulating the flow. The people who are taking only are strangling the flow. When people are all give and they don't create givers in their lives, what they're doing is enabling and empowering exactly the kind of selfish, narcissistic bullshit we're trying to get out of the universe. You must all think about this. When you empower someone and enable someone to take and take and take and take and take, and they do not have to give in return, because you are doing all the giving as Superman, thank you very much, on your little pedestal, what you're doing is creating somebody who firstly remains unaware of their own value in the world, remains unaware of their own capacity for kindness and compassion and generosity of spirit, who remains always attached to you because you are part of their life force, what they're breathing in order to keep their comfort zone clear and stable, secure. And you are creating somebody who becomes more and more self-absorbed and therefore is no longer loving you or caring for you or nurturing you as you require. So we now create a ripple effect where you take care of that person takes care of somebody else, and somebody else is taking care of somebody else. Nothing is flowing in a circle. It's certainly not in accordance with the law of mutuality. So if I'm taking care of you, that can feel wonderful for me, but how are you nurturing yourself so that my care is not wasted and you are not the deep dark hole of Kimberly? Vast difference between the two. And how are you taking care of me? This is the law of mutuality. This is not a transaction. It's not a credit to credit and debit for debit. It is an exchange of energy. Because when you are investing in someone, rescuing, nurturing, giving your all, and they in turn are being strong in the rest of the world, or being completely reliant on you, you are no longer investing in somebody who is growing and learning and becoming. You are wasting on somebody who is a taker. And the world is full of those, empowered and enabled by parents who overparent, smother mothers and controlling fathers, where their inner child is seriously limited to being a brat for the rest of their lives. These are the people who can throw a tantrum at the drop of a hat. These are the people who can demand of you that which you do not have to give, and impose on you to give it so that you can prove yourself and prove that you are worthy of them. These are the people who are in the extreme narcissists. And I go through at least 3 of those a week. These are the people who don't listen eventually when you do need help. The people who don't give you a voice in your relating. So you have to stop and check. Are you being Superman and hiding your vulnerabilities when in actual fact you're Clark Kent with Superman hidden underneath? That's who you are. In this body, that's who you are. And when you take away from others their power to give, you render them inadequate in your space. You render them powerless in your relating. You even undermine their value to you, because your value comes from your ability to give, to nurture, to rescue, to be strong for others, and you get a great feel-good out of that. I'm a decent human being. I'm kind. I'm that kind of person. But if you are stealing that exact same feel-good from other people, then who are you being? The joker. The joker. You're being the joker. Because the joker is the one who dumps people in toxic shit, right? Yeah. This I don't need anybody and I can take care of myself and I'm so independent is for the birds. all of whom depend on a great many things in the universe to keep them stable and present and grounded even when they are flying. Let's stop with this nonsense, because it is separatist thinking. I heard myself laughing today in the car because I said to Charmaine, those people think in terms of division. In fact, they're so good at it, they're thinking in terms of long division. What are you doing? If you're creating partnership, relationship, do it sincerely. If you're already married, go back and do it sincerely. If you ask the people who are happy in their relationships, they are happy because there is give and take. When you ask people who have a good relationship with their parents, like Damir, it's because there's give and take. His mother gives chocolate cake, we take. We're all happy. See? In my relationship with the soul sisters, there's a whole lot of give and take and give and take. And you've seen the kitchen explode when Fatima comes to visit, right? There's a whole lot of give and take. With the tenants, with Pandora, everything is shifting and flowing and changing, and everybody is receiving, and everybody is giving, and everybody feels valued because they have a contribution to make. When Shahina's birthday party got rained out and everybody got involved and moved the tables and reset the food and created the party inside, everybody owned it. Everybody owned that party. It became our party. In Shahina's space, and the people that she gathers around her are awesome foodies. They love parties. They're good at this. Of course, they connected and everybody had a great time. It becomes ours because we are sharing it. But if you are in charge from your rescuer mode and you are Superman and everybody else is just on the receiving end of that, it's not ours anymore, it's yours. So get off your pedestal, keep your Superman suit on under your normal shirt, and go to work as Clark Kent. Clark Kent didn't need kryptonite to keep him going. He had Lois Lane for that. Are you getting this? Yeah. Superman's dependency on kryptonite was almost his undoing, right?
He was allergic, he couldn't be in the presence of kryptonite.
Oh, so what was it that he needed regularly?
The sunlight.
Sunlight.
Yeah, he gets his energy from the sun.
Ah. I completely forgot the Superman story.
You guys know this.
It's important, the history of God, sir.
This is like important. Yeah. So he had an Achilles heel, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you know Achilles. Mythology of one of the strongest men in the world. Had a vulnerable point, a weakness. And that weakness is usually something you're keeping hidden. Like that cockroach in Tuesday's meditation. That weakness is usually your unwillingness to be vulnerable in the world. That's your weak spot. So can we all clear it up and get with the program and learn to receive? And in case you didn't get the message in this chat, which is now going on for much too long, there are how many meditations? See, I'm automatically looking at Charmaine when I ask this question. How many meditations have we done over the past 5 years? Now I'm looking at you, Lou, about giving and receiving and the need to keep them in balance. Okay.
No, but you're right, 100%. That sort of behavior is unethical and it's immoral. That give, not take. It's been proven. The book is called Elements of Moral Philosophy. I just finished reading it. Seriously, I did. Whether it's a coincidence or not, but just I was like, okay.
All of the foremost psychologists in the world agree that that human beings are designed for inclusivity. We are designed for togetherness. We are designed for that one essential attribute called sharing. Any kind of power game that comes into sharing is detrimental to everybody's well-being. So if somebody is treating you like, if they snap their fingers, you should come running, stop. Just stop in your tracks. take a deep breath in and listen when the snap of the fingers comes, and check whether you're doing a Pavlov's dog. If you're doing a Pavlov's dog, turn tail and run as far away from the fingers being snapped as you possibly can. Because that's not love, and that's not sharing, and that's not caring, and it's not anything that you should be living with for the rest of your life. Be very clear about this. Stop, turn tail, and run immediately. Don't even rethink it. Run immediately. If somebody consistently sets you up to fail, or consistently sets you up to prove yourself, turn tail and run. If somebody consistently sets you up to criticize your results or to undermine your accomplishments, turn tail and run. You think you'll be running for the rest of your life, but trust me, when you run the first time and you make it clear, I don't want that in my life, I am turning my back on it, you start to see greater possibilities. I said to Pascal the other night, I really appreciate that you don't ever say anything nasty about me to me or to anybody else.